Imagine that Mulan is a young girl, the only daughter of her honorable family. When the Huns invade China, one man from each family is called to arms. Mulan's father, who has an old wound and cannot walk properly, decides to fight for his country and his family's honor, even though it is clear that he will not survive an encounter with the enemy. Mulan, who has just been rejected by the matchmaker because she had set her on fire, decides to prove herself and runs away to take her father's place in the Chinese army. She prays to her family's ancestors for protection and luck before riding off as a man in her father's armor with her family's horse. The ancestors awaken and decide to send Mushu, a small disgraced dragon, to help Mulan on her quest. Weeks later, Mulan and the other soldiers have survived boot camp and are heading north to stop the Huns. After being spotted and pursued by enemies, a dead-end situation in the mountains forces Mulan to come up with an idea, but then her true gender will no longer be a secret. She decides to risk everything to save China. Did you imagine it? Well, that's what we'll see, in short. And so our story begins. When the Huns, led by the ruthless Shan Yu, invade China, every family receives a draft notice. Mulan's father, Fa Zhou, has to serve in the army, but due to his age and previous war wounds, it's doubtful he'll survive. Fa Mulan disguises herself as a man, then takes her father's draft notice, armor, and weapons so he doesn't have to leave. She rides off on her horse Khan to join the army, knowing that if she's caught, she'll be killed. Mushu, a small Chinese dragon, has been awakened by the family's first ancestor. Mushu had been demoted to playing the gong after a mishap with one of the ancestors when the other ancestors were awakened.
They protect the family.
After several choices about which guardian to send after Mulan, he is asked to awaken the great stone dragon. Mushu accidentally destroys the dragon, but realizes that this could be a chance to earn his place among the guardians again if he can turn Mulan into a war hero. Mulan trains with a group led by Captain Li Shang, which includes her fellow soldiers Ling, Yao, and Qianpo. The troops complete their training, but Chifu, the Emperor's meddling advisor, refuses to let them go into battle, accusing the troops of being ill-prepared. Mushu forges a letter from the general ordering Shang to lead his men into battle. The troops set off to meet General Li, who has already left on a mission. However, Shang and his troops discover that the general and his men have been killed in the battle.
Search for survivors.
Now Shang and his troops continue on, disheartened by their loss when they are ambushed by Hun archers. After an initial attack, the Huns are thought to be defeated, but the troops soon discover otherwise. As they prepare the last cannon to fire at the Huns, Mulan spots a precarious mound of snow on the upper slope of the mountain. As the Huns charge down the mountain, Mulan takes the cannon and fires the rocket into the snow mound. The collision of the rocket and the snow mound causes an avalanche that sweeps over the charging Huns and buries them. Shang's soldiers take shelter while Mulan rescues Shang from being swept away by the snow.
No, we can do it! You the man! Well, sort of.
The Chinese soldiers initially cheer their victory but quickly turn somber after Mulan discovers that she is bleeding. She had been wounded by a blow from Shan Yu's sword. Shang quickly calls for a doctor just as Mulan faints. During treatment, Mulan's true identity is discovered. Shang is notified and expected to execute Mulan, but he spares her life, considering his forgiveness a trade for Mulan saving his own life.
A life for a life.
Instead, Shang expels her from the army. Mulan decides to return home, but hears the Huns emerging from the snow that had covered them during the previous battle. She tries to warn Shang's troops as the citizens herald them in a parade for their war efforts, but they do not listen. As the Emperor addresses the crowd, the Huns, disguised as characters from the parade, kidnap him. Shang and his troops attempt to follow the Huns into the palace but are unsuccessful. Mulan devises a ploy with the other soldiers to dress as concubines, scale a palace wall, and infiltrate the palace. When the Huns lower their defenses in the presence of the women, Mulan and her friends quickly dispatch them all. During this attack, Qianpo safely gets the Emperor out of the palace, but Shang and Mulan are trapped on the balcony with Shan Yu. Shan Yu is about to kill Shang when Mulan catches his eye. He recognizes her from the battle on the mountain and chases after her.
The soldier from the mountains.
By this point, Mulan lures him to the palace rooftop where they engage in personal combat, until Mushu, as arranged by Mulan, sets off a huge firecracker which hits Shan Yu and leads to his death. The fate of the remaining 5 Han warriors is never fully revealed. The Emperor meets Mulan and, in an accusatory tone, lists Mulan's crimes, but he forgives her. The Emperor then bows to Mulan, which is considered an extremely high honor as it implies having a higher status than the Emperor, while the hundreds of observers bow, an Eastern position of reverence with the face and palms facing the ground. The Emperor then offers Mulan a position on his staff, but Mulan politely declines the offer, confessing that she wants to return home. He gives her Shan Yu's sword along with his shield for her to take home to honor her family. Upon her return, Mulan expects to be reprimanded but is embraced by her family. Shang arrives to speak with Mulan, having been encouraged by the Emperor to propose marriage. The ancestors reluctantly agree to make Mushu a guardian once more. And this is how this lying story ends, full of warriors, wars, and love. And if you like the video, subscribe, share, and leave your like. This is the end.